Yo, what is going on, everyone? I have another review video today. It is going to be on the Coldclutch mousepad that I got shipped out. I just want to say that I'm going to be as unbiased as possible, and I'm going to try to give all of my honest criticisms and honest thoughts on the mousepad, even though it was sent out. Huge shout out to them, by the way. I've only been reviewing for like 2-ish months, and it's actually like really cool that a company has already reached out to me to send me a product, and I really appreciate that. Really appreciate them giving me the opportunity, because they're like a brand new company and it's their first mousepad, so I'm really grateful that they managed to, find me and contact me and sort out everything. I actually bought their pad when I saw it on Twitter, and then they actually refunded me, saying that they were going to send me a review copy. So they refunded me, and it was a really nice process. Super nice talking with them. They're really understanding of everyone's situation. So very kind company, very kind people. But first, I'm going to go onto their website and I'm going to talk about all their claims, and then compare it to my actual experiences. I've tested a lot of mice with it too. I've tested, denser mice like an S2C with Tiger Eye Skates. I've tested my G Pro Superlight. So I've tested lighter mice, heavier mice, denser mice, smaller mice, larger mice, and then mice with different feet also. So I'm going to try to be as thorough as I can be with this review. So I will bring up their website and then we can talk about everything on there. So going on their website, they do have a 10% off right now. This large size came out to $27 with shipping. So it's a really good deal right now. But yeah. So going down, silk surface, it's pretty much exactly like that. Like it's definitely like a silky texture. Like if you've ever had like silk sheets or something, it's really smooth. They also talk about rough and hard surfaces. Talk like obviously mentioning like a Heian or more textured pads. So you do get all the same speed that's like a Heian, just with like none of like the rough textured like downsides to it. So that's really good. I would honestly say that this is probably like around the same speed as a Heian. Like I did test my Heian out only for like about 2 hours because I didn't want to lose like the feeling of the Coldclutch pad. But I do want to say it's very comparable in terms of speed. So tracking is going to be really good. So this is just talking about, sensors won't have any spinouts, no issues. And obviously that is the case. The only mousepad I've ever heard that has sensor spinout issues is the Artisan Raiden. And you won't get it with this pad. So, that's really good. It's just talking about the rubber base. So they do say that people try to reinvent like rubber bases and stuff, but they go with like the generic rubber base. And this has moved a little bit on top of my other pad, but I'll talk about that later. And then this is just talking about the other size that they have. They have 4 sizes. 2 of them are really good, and then the other 2 are like, I don't know who would ever get the other 2 sizes. So all the way down here, you get their sizes. So I have the large 450 by 400. It's a really good standard size for everybody. I would definitely prefer a 490 by like a 410 or even a 500 by 500. That is like my gold standard for like just like squares instead of desk pads. Desk pads, I do prefer a 900 by 500, or like a 900 by 450 even. So this 900 by 400 is fine. I don't really have a problem with it being 400. And then these are the 2 weird parts. The 2 weird sizes. Oh, I gotta move, or I gotta shrink my. I'll put my camera down here. There we go. Wow, that is crazy. I can move my camera while doing the video because I am that unprofessional. But this size is 800 by 320. Super bizarre size. I don't know who's going to get this. And then the medium is even worse. It's 280 by 340 or 340 by 280. I'm sorry. I don't know if this is like for an office worker. But it's, if you want a medium, it's $5 more, you get the large. Same thing for the XL. You spend $5 more, you get the double XL. These 2 are the only sizes I would even like want to recommend for gaming. Maybe these 2 if you have a really small desk. If you have a small desk, then that makes more sense. But yeah, now I'm gonna get into my experience with the pad itself. So now talking about my experience and the mice that I've used, and also comparing it to some other pads that I've used in the past. Um, in terms of the mice I've used really light mice. I've used the MZ1. I used the my Logitech super light, and then I also used like more moderate. Oh, and my GameSense Meta, and then more moderate weighted mouse like an XM1R, the M4 that I recently reviewed, and then really dense mice like the S2C. So all of these mice like work perfectly fine. Lighter mice were a little bit harder for me to get used to, just because it's a lighter mice on a faster pad than I'm used to. So it's really all dependent on your mouse control. If you have like perfect mouse control, it's not going to be a big deal for you already. But if you are on a lighter mouse and your aim is already shaky, this pad isn't going to be for you. It's definitely speedier, and then stopping power is not as much as I would like. But there is some there. But I definitely preferred my S2C on this pad with Tiger Ice feet. And then also going to mouse feet that on this pad. So normally I usually prefer, bigger skates, core pads typically. But I used a lot of skates. My MZ1 are default skates, and then the M4 also default. And then both of those have like super weird, like the super weird mouse design. The M4 has 4 feet, and none of them feel any different. Like mouse feet, if you don't want to upgrade, then this pad will be perfect for you. It'll all feel the same. Core pads offer a little bit more stopping power, but it's definitely like you really have to be focusing on it. You really have to be thinking about, is this giving me more stopping power? In terms of like cable drag, it doesn't matter. Like literally feels like nothing, and I'm trying to push this cable into the pad. Literally feels like nothing. Feels great. In terms of when it lays flat, because up here you can clearly see that it still hasn't laid flat. And what's interesting is the mouse pad underneath still hasn't laid flat. And I've had this mouse pad much longer. So this pad hasn't laid perfectly flat. It's really not that big of a deal, just because like it's all the way up here. My mouse has never gone up here. But I have had it for about a week, and it should be laying flat at this point. That's kind of unfortunate, but it's not as bad as other pads. And then I also don't go all the way up here, so it hasn't affected me in game. In terms of like, you can also see up here that it's like wavy. In a past review, I said that this part, like you could feel it on the pad, but you do not feel it on this pad, like at all. Even though it's like wavy and it looks like it should be like a wave up here, it feels perfectly smooth all the way around. And then also X and Y is exactly the same. You do this motion, you're going to feel the same exact feeling throughout the whole pad, which is wonderful. That's really, really good. In terms of like these two logos also, this one you definitely feel underneath your mouse. But like I said, I never put my mouse up here. And then this one over here, you don't feel. I don't feel this one at all. And both of them are also raised above the pad itself. So, I don't know. Do with that information as you will. Base is perfectly fine. The only thing is it does move. You can kind of see it move already, but it goes back into place with the motion. So it's really weird. This is the only pad that's moved on top of another one. So I feel like the rubber base could definitely be better, especially since it's like a pretty generic rubber base. You see this on a lot of pads nowadays. In terms of the stitched edges, it's raised above the pad itself. It's not that noticeable, but you're obviously going to feel it when you make vertical movements. Tracking or horizontal, not so bad, but definitely vertical, you'll feel it. It never irritated me as much as some other pads have in game, but you do feel it. And then I do have these two frays up here on the right side of my pad, and I already talked to them in DMs, and they said that they're working on upping their stitching, because they said that like recently they found that like only like there's always like that one or two little nicks in the stitching that just like messes it all up. So it's really good to see a company know their faults from other reviewers, and then they're also going to work on improving it, which is really, really good. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for the review. Really good pad. It's all just dependent on you. If you have a light mouse, you have great mouse control, and all you want is some extra tracking and some extra speed, perfect pad for you. Get it in the... I prefer bigger mouse pads, but that's just because I play in a low sense. But if you have, shaky aim, this pad really isn't going to be for you, and it's all just dependent on what you play also. Like, I can't see this pad being good on something like CS or Valorant, but something on like Apex and Warzone where it's really track heavy, it's going to be fine. Like, really, speed pads are kind of the wave for both of those, for Apex and Warzone anyway. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I'm obviously going to try to answer every single question that I see. But yeah, that's pretty much all for the review, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Stimulants and things. I told you exactly what he did, and just weight loss surgery calculators are 100% good about that. Just get the weight loss surgery and don't do any physical exercise. Like Rich went out and physically did like a workout regimen. He'd actually lose weight a little bit faster than the graph would have shown, but not significantly. It'd been like a 10 to 15. Any person that's a nutrition trainer, even like a doctor,
what about you, Steve?
One random. That's about it.
So does
Yeah, just 3 a.m. Definitely no mods during those times.
you mean you have plenty of goals in there? Got laid over. So, going over the goal, back up to you. So, what made you decide to join? So, hey, big ups to you. So, going over this, same thing with you. I mean, what made you decide to be involved?
I mean, I watched the videos from the start. He didn't.
That's how I felt when I first saw Ball's video after watching, you know, The Fall of Wings. There's a, you guys don't know, it's a video. And I learned about him, then saw Ball's video, did that, and I found the Discord, and